Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Sidereal Midnight plays Shadowrun Hong Kong. In the last episode, Fist-sensei and Duncan finally became Shadowrunners for real now, and there are apparently missions waiting for us back at the home boat. But first, went out and did a little shopping and learning about the area we live in now, and we're going to do a little more. We're going to go to the Parlor of Five Phases, see what that's about. Go to, where is it? Ah yes, Club 88, see what's going on there. And after that, hopefully begin our very first Shadowrun mission. This looks like the magic shop. This looks a lot like the magic shop. Crafty Zoo. A mild scent, sweet and slightly herbal, is the first thing you notice upon entering the old shop. Its quarters are cramped, made smaller by the display cases and furniture packed inside. The walls are lined with bookshelves, and the tables and chairs are stacked with old tomes. A few titles jump out at you. Lucid Dreaming, an exploration of the inner self. Dream Logic, Nocturnal Visitations. Overall, the place feels lived in, if disorganized. Not quite cluttered, but close. Milling at the front of the store is the shopkeeper, lost in a book of her own. She's tall for a human, probably close to 2 meters in height. Her physique is typical bookworm. Not overweight, but you can't see any muscular definition either. Typical bookworm, okay. A wraparound tattoo covers her upper arms and shoulders, but from where you're standing you can't quite make it out. She fidgets. Gradually, her eyes rise from her book and lock onto you. Welcome. Don't believe I've seen you before. She sets down her book and sweeps a strand of black and pink hair behind her ear. Name's Crafty. Fist-sensei, nice to meet you. She shakes your hand. Her grip is surprisingly firm. So, Fist-sensei, what can I do for you? I've got spells, alchemical reagents, foci, whatever you want, really. Might have to do some digging to find it, but if it's magical, it's around here somewhere. Say, Crafty, have you had any vivid dreams lately? Her face is unreadable. Her eyes lock onto yours. As a matter of fact, I have, Fist-sensei. But we all get the occasional vivid dream. Nothing special there. Really? Then why are you reading up on them? She flicks her wrist dismissively. Sure, it's a little weird that we're having them, but these types of dreams are common in the walled city. Nothing to get all worked up about. Probably. They're common? Explain. She nods. Common as the cold. My mother devoted her life to researching the walled city and the magical phenomena within it. So I grew up with stories about the city, the recurrent creepy dreams being one of them. I've never been inside the walled city myself, but Mom went in pretty regularly and experienced the dreams. Where's your mother now? Dead. She shrugs. Mom was interesting, but not praiseworthy. Is this your store, or do you just work here? It's mine. I inherited it from my mom. As you can see, she generously left me all her research journals. Her words are thick with sarcasm. Mom was never a big cleaner, but neither am I. My mom used to keep spirits around that helped her manage the place. They're not here anymore, but sometimes I swear my books aren't where I last placed them. Who knows, maybe they pop by for visits. I just wish they'd clean while they're here. What's with the name of the store? It's a cultural thing. The 5 phases represent wood, earth, water, fire, and metal. Some people believe they're the basis of how things function and interact in this world. You'll find it all throughout China, in disciplines ranging from farming to science, even music. The theory isn't common among younger generations, but it has its uses. My mother was strongly influenced by it. In fact, our sign out front is a visual representation of the cycle of 5 phases. It was an inspiration to her. She raises a shoulder in a half shrug. I just think that it looks neat. Or actually, it's probably, I just think that it looks neat. What makes this store so special? It's old, respectable, built over a dragon line. She slightly tilts her head to the side. We also carry texts unavailable anywhere else, but I guess, for me, I'm drawn to this place by the nostalgia. Hmm. You don't sound thrilled. It's a job. Can't complain. Let's see. What are you selling? Oh, okay, so this just takes us to her shop. So she is selling all the mage and shaman spells. Alright. I'm not sure if I can give spells to Gobbet. I'll see when we head out on a mission. You can get some elemental fetishes, some shamanic salve, a simple magical prepared salve that heals 4 base HP and a further 4 HP per round for 3 rounds. That seems real good. Probably not going to buy it all the same. So we've got... That's a weapon? Alright. Spells, conjuring, and consumables. Let's see. So that gives +1 willpower. That gives +1 charisma. Darn. I really want one or the other of these. They seem really good. I might end up getting some conjuring sooner than I would otherwise just to get that. Okay, but for now, tell me about yourself, Crafty. She raises a shoulder in a half shrug. I'm not sure where to start. What do you want to know? Let's see. This is just a dumb question, but what do you do when you're not at work? I've been pretty crunched here at the shop, so I don't have a lot of time outside of work. But when I'm off the clock, I like to read and paint, maybe kick back and enjoy a meal with my friends. My buddy Gobbet sometimes stops by with food. No drag racing or anything. Pretty boring. You said paints? Just for fun. I don't make any money off it or anything like that. I just find it relaxing. She pats her arms. Design my tattoos, but that's about the extent I take it beyond the canvas. Mind if I see that tattoo? I can't quite make it out from here. I feel like Fist-sensei would admire good tattoos. Yeah, sure. She turns her back to you and you can see the tattoo in all its glory. It looks like an impressionist rendition of a school of salmon jumping upstream. The artistry of the piece is undeniable. Yeah. Tattoos aren't really my thing. Definitely not that. That's amazing. Real professional quality work. An embarrassed smile creeps into her features. She scratches her shoulder. You're being way too generous, but I'll take it. Thanks. What do you like to read? Crafty clasps her hands together, and a slow smile spreads across her face. Aside from the usual, I love sitting down each morning to a tall cup of soy calf, and with the latest news streams on hand, I pop it right open to the obituaries. Makes for great reading. She smiles at you for a moment before speaking. Kidding. Well, for all you know. I tend to stray towards detective novels, maybe some suspense and horror, and when I'm not reading for leisure, I study my textbooks to keep my magic sharp. I know a Gobbet. I wonder if they're the same person. You know a lot of Gobbets? Her teasing resolves itself into a gentle smirk. I'm sure they're one and the same. She's a good person. We're not real close, but we have a pleasant relationship. Chatting over french fries, discussing our latest reads. You know, shallow things. How do you know her? Yeah, this one is a lot more immediately true. She and Isabel got me out of a tough spot. Good. Keep her by your side. Gaba's pretty fluent in the ways of this city and the people who live here. She knows her stuff. If you stick with her, you'll find yourself in a lot less trouble than you would otherwise. Okay, I'm not even going to read that because it doesn't follow. Is Crafty really your first name? No. A wave of nostalgia seems to pull her gaze towards the shop's front window. The name started out as a joke, actually. Back home, my mom used to call me Crafty since the meaning's similar to my given name. I liked it because of the way it sounds. I insisted that my family singular, or present tense. Call me Crafty, so it became a sort of nickname around the house. When I got older and started school in Hong Kong, I made my mom register me as Crafty, and it stuck. So what's your given name? Meow. Okay, so I did read that right. She raises her hand to prevent you from replying. Yes, like a cat. You foreigners always make that same joke, which is why I grew up hating meow. Call me Crafty. Your mother sounds like quite the mage. Did you study magic too? I sure did. Natural predisposition. She flexes her arm, or whatever. But Mom and I learned the craft differently. I went to university, and she was book taught. Mom was very old school. Her magic wasn't as applicable to everyday situations, and it was rooted in superstitions. It still worked, and well, but only for more ritualistic ancient spells. Practical spells, like rain shields and bottomless trash cans, were outside of her repertoire. What else do you know about the walled city? Very little, just that my mother spent most of her time in there, and she shifts her weight, leans onto the counter. Well, it messed her up. Is there something specific you want to know about? What can you tell me about the city? She runs a hand through her hair, exhales. Where to begin? The walled city's always been a hellhole. It started a bad place, it's still a bad place. Crime's drawn to it like a magnet. You can't enter the city without a security guard on each elbow. But not even that will guarantee you safe passage. No one famous or rich or memorable has ever come from the place, and the only thing it's known for around here is its shitty reputation. She shrugs loosely. That's about the gist of it. Now, there's a whole library here that just so happens to be the foremost location for walled city texts. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. Yep. I'm doing all of these. I want to find out everything about all of these characters that I can. I get the feeling that your relationship with your mother was unusual. You better believe it. She was obsessed with the walled city. Put it before everyone in her life. Mom ate, slept, and breathed that city. Was something fueling her obsession? Crafty shifts her gaze to a stack of books on a nearby table. Yeah, actually. Mom was convinced that something was wrong with the place. That it was cursed in some way. Polluted with unnaturally bad ki. She'd visit the city under the protection of the Yellow Lotus and spend hours, sometimes days, studying it. Crafty tears her eyes away from the books and returns her gaze to you. Mother was consumed by her research. Did she ever find anything? She sure tried. Mom thought she could find a way to purify the place and to exorcise its demons. Her obsession with the walled city grew, and she devoted more and more of her life to breaking its curse. Wish I could say she fell off the radar, but really, the rest of the world fell off hers. That's such a bad thing to say. I'm sorry, Crafty. That must have been hard for you. It is what it is, and here I am. Crafty gives you a warm smile. It sounds like you don't believe in your mother's research. You can see Crafty studying you. She exhales through her nose, and it seems as if she's considering something. I know we've just met, Fist-sensei, but you have a generous ear. I don't mind discussing my mother with you as long as we keep the details between us. Mother's research was stupid. Just plain stupid. She wasn't stupid herself, no. Mom was very bright, but her obsession was downright unhealthy. Anyone can see that. The walled city is a toxic place, home to dark spirits and astral influence, but Mom believed in a singular curse at the heart of the place. How did you two fall out? My mother failed to change the walled city, and the time she spent inside there changed her. She grew sickly and became moody, irritable. She suffered from night terrors the rest of her life. Crafty languidly sweeps a small clump of dust off a nearby book. It must have been difficult to watch her decline like that. She points a finger at you. It wasn't just that. The breaking point for me was her ridiculous obsession. I refused to indulge her, and it drove a wedge between us. Neither of us were willing to relent. A small, bitter laugh escapes her throat. I guess we had that in common. Stubborn till the end. So after Mom died, I turned my back on her work and left the walled city and its people to themselves. It's a toxic site beyond rehabilitation. I do my best to ignore it. Her composure breaks for a second, and you see Crafty shift nervously behind the counter. At least I've tried. Now these dreams, these nightmares are leaking out of the walled city. I wonder if I can still ignore it. Let's see. Yeah. Probably this, especially considering the terrible thing that I still haven't thought of what it was that he did. He probably repeats that to himself a lot. We always have a choice. You're right, but not everyone's choices are weighted evenly, and I just don't think I can turn a blind eye to what's happening here. She loosely gestures to the bookshelves all over the shop. I have my mother's journals, I have the means to try and help. It's sure to dredge up bad memories, but if it'll help my friends, maybe it'll be worth it. I don't know. I guess I have a lot to think about. She crosses her arms and wraps her fingers against her skin. Anyway, thanks for lending me that ear of yours. Okay, one last thing. I'm thinking about the dreams. Can I ask you something? She nods. Go ahead. Why do you think they're affecting people outside the walled city? It's definitely strange. Until now, I always thought the dreams were just nonsense. That my mother just had night terrors because of her madness. She props her chin up with her right hand. That seems to be a common gesture around here. But now it's really happening, and not just to me, to others around Heoi. Those same psychic forces that drove Mom insane are edging into our subconscious. Lately I've been wondering if there might have been something to her ravings, maybe. I've been skeptical for so long it feels almost blasphemous to consider it. Maybe the walled city's curse is real. She rubs her hand down her face, obviously frustrated. I just don't know. Maybe you can learn something from your mom's journals. That's true, but my mother's notes are scattered all over the shop. Most of her research is scrawled in the margins of the books that you see on the shelves in piles and stacks all over. The clues we'd need to figure this thing out could be in any one of these volumes, and there are thousands of them. Okay, let's see what we got. If there's anything we can do to get to the bottom of them, we need to take that opportunity. This isn't just about your... Okay. Yeah, I feel like as somebody who's tuned in, like their primary thing that they use to cast magic is ki, he would probably feel it. I have a bad feeling about these dreams, and whatever else it was. I should have read it before clicking on it. She sighs, straightens up. Yeah, I know what I have to do. It's just... Damn, look at them all. She tiredly looks down at the book she was reading earlier. Guess I won't be finishing this one anytime soon. Alright, Fist-sensei, I'm gonna get started. now. Oh, I know. I'm gonna get started. Now. But it'll take time. The House of Five Phases is jammed from floor to ceiling with books, and any one of them could hold valuable information. Check in once in a while and I'll share my findings with you. You're doing the right thing. I'll do what I can too. Thanks, I appreciate that. Thanks, Crafty. See you around. Okay. That was an interesting conversation. Now there's only one place left to go. The place where the drugs are. Now I know I've been talking about drugs a lot, but the drug dealer in Dragonfall was one of my favorite characters in that game. Zack Flash, that guy was hilarious. Like most troll bouncers, this man is not with muscles, but absent are the myriad scars that come with age or indiscretion. His only blemishes are the bony skin growths common to his kind and a single deep scar across his neck and collarbone. You watch yourself in here, or else we'll check your aerodynamics. How do you mean? Anyone causes trouble, I see how far I can throw them. No fighting, no killing, no sex trade. He lifts an arm, flexing. His muscles jump out like a mass of serpents and steel cabling. His arm is easily as thick as most humans' waists. I don't mess around. Alright, I was going to do some sex trading, but I won't now. No sex trading for this man. Tell you that much. Alright, so we have... Oh wait, we have Callum. Okay, so it's this family of trolls. Alright. Let's talk to Henry. Yo, Henry, talk to me. Oh, look at this guy. Those are some awesome sunglasses. Odd that you're wearing them inside, but who am I to judge? There's only one way to describe the troll haunting the back of Club 88. Weather. It is as if the man has been carved from granite and then battered by the crash of waves and salty winds over the course of decades. Welcome to Club 88. No killing, no fighting, no sex trade. I can respect that. I'm Fist-sensei. I'm Henry Ka-Fai. I suppose I own this place. If you're looking for guns, speak to my wife. If you're looking for farmers, speak to my son Callum. And if you're looking for trouble, you'll be seeing my son Frederick. Briefly. And what would I speak to you about? Nothing. I just steer the ship. What ship? There's always a ship. I'll leave you be. Okay, so this is our drug dealer. Ha! The haircuts in this game are great. Better groomed than most of his kind, the young troll nonetheless ruins the effort with his own blatant drunkenness. His eyes are red and his expression foggy, but he otherwise appears to be high-functioning. Have a drink, friend. Have two. Then maybe something else to chase it, eh? Not while I'm on the job. You should have my job, then. I'm a prince of Club 88. Chosen, you might say. You're part of the family that owns this place? You are a shrewd one, friend. I am the heir apparent, and my birthright to peddle chems to every sniffer that passes through our gates. What do you say? Need something to pick you up, or bring you down? Let's see what you have. So we've got Cram, Hyper, and Toko. I'm surprised that Toko is the least expensive of these. I mean, Cram at least makes sense. Kind of. Hyper, I don't get at all. Accuracy up by 6%? Why would I even pay for that? No, thank you, sir. I will not have any of your drugs. Now let's talk to the gun lady. I'm guessing she's back here. Oh, check that out. That's a piece of ordnance. Hey, Ermine. Talk to me. The older troll woman has a striking Amazonian quality. When she was younger, she must have really turned heads. Can I help you? You in charge here? And don't you forget it. This is my family's place. Me, my husband, and our 2 boys. Now, do you have business with me? I have no time for window shoppers. What have you got for sale? Firearms from all over the world. From Ares to Walther, and everything in between. You in the market? Let's take a look. Okay, so this is where I'd get stuff for the others, because... weapons? I don't need that. I have mana fists. Yeah, they're all 3 armor. It's just about which one I'd rather be wearing. Come back anytime. Anything else you need? What can you tell me about Heoi? There's only one thing you need to know. The corporations do not rule Heoi. We're under Kindly Cheng's umbrella, and her Yellow Lotus soldiers protect the docks and maintain the peace, but we're not Triad members and they don't own us. Heoi is a crossroads, where goods change hands and deals are made. Kindly makes the market, but we, the families, make it happen. Ermine speaks with the pride of a woman who bows politely to great powers, but never prostrates herself before them. Families rebuilt this place when it was left to rot. Strong families like mine, and we protect our own. Outsiders and corps know that tangling with Heoi is more trouble than we are worth. The Triads know it is better to work with us than against us. And now you know these things as well. You would do well to remember them. Now, are you looking to buy? I'll leave you be. No, goodbye. Alright. So, apparently, there's some sort of, or at least my working theory is there's some sort of evil god who's been hanging out in the walled city area for a long time. Maybe centuries, who knows? And just been making bad things happen, screwing up the key. Oh, this is open now. I have to go down here first. Hello, Rector. Let me take a drink. Ah, it's good. Hello, Rector. Let's talk. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let you go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air, and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted this space into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and Duraplast extruders line the walls, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hang from the ceiling. A man in a black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a sturdy workbench. He addresses you without turning. I was wondering when I'd meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of a Russian accent there, but it's buried under layers of nuance. Okay, I won't try to ham it up then. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in just a moment, and unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manner of tools in here that could take your hand clean off. Take your time. I won't touch anything. You're very kind. Thank you. Okay, well I have to snoop, so I guess I'll snoop at the screen. The feed on the monitor looks like some sort of design software. You can see what appears to be a slim, spidery appendage in orthographic and perspective views. Very good, yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has broadly handsome, Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. He probably won't have gotten used to, calling himself Fist-sensei yet. Ying, Shen Ying, good to meet you. And you as well. Now tell me, what can I do for... His voice trails off as a flash of motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs in a clear sign of aggression. The man's smile tilts, and his tone goes apologetic. Please, don't mind the drone. He can be territorial, but so long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Raptor. My mechanical counterpart here is called Koshe. Slap him 5, sup, man. Let's not do that. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Heoi, it is important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A tactical display winks to life, then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes yet. That's time enough to talk. Koshe is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose that it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possession after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. Ooh, nice. Yes, I know the story you're talking about. His smile widens. Oh, how marvelous. I hadn't thought to meet anyone versed in Russian classics here in Heoi. I've studied. If memory serves, Koshe the Deathless was an immortal villain and a kidnapper of women. He nods. Indeed, he was those things, but it was not Koshe's misdeeds that drew me to the name. I suppose that it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated with me. There was something to be learned from that, I was sure. And so, when it came time to name my beloved creation, his was the first name that came to mind. And is your drone deathless like its namesake? In a manner of speaking, I suppose that it is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core programming is stored on a disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate the self-repair process. I must confess, it was really quite ingenious. But alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Koshe will become as deathless as the stories claim. But it will not be today. When you said this morning's casting, what did you mean? Exactly what I said. A casting that I made of a new locomotive assembly for Koshe. He gestures at the display above the work table. A biometric design, as you can see. This one is inspired by the walking legs of a decapod crustacean, the mangrove crab, to be specific. You're designing drone parts in here? He nods. And fabricating them. Yes. How'd you learn to do that? More training and experience than I care to mention. He offers you a wry smile. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now it's more of a calling, one that I'm free to pursue, now that I've freed from myself from the shackles of corporate servitude. You've got some interesting machinery in here, not the kind that you typically see outside of corporate settings. He smiles. The same could be said of many in Heoi, I'm sure. This is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things that they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you? Out of curiosity. I'm mostly interested in that drone you have there. Koshe? Ah, but my friend, you are wrong. You will never find his like in any corporate factory or lab. He is mine, my own creation, from the top of his sensor clusters to the tip of his claws. I designed him, fabricated his components, and built him by hand. Impressive. He shrugs. No more so than anyone else who follows his passions and perfects his craft. Are you Russian? I thought I got a hint of an accent there. He nods. You have a good ear, I'm impressed. Yes, I grew up in Nizhny Novgorod. Went to school there, started my career there in the industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. But I have also traveled a great deal, and in so doing I have absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. If you were born and raised in Russia, what brings you to Hong Kong now? The same thing that attracts many to the free enterprise zone, opportunity. You yourself are a recent transplant, are you not? Your Cantonese is heavily accented in the style of many UCAS expats. That isn't a criticism, mind you. It's just a statement of fact. You're right, I'm originally from Seattle. I figured as much. You're lucky to have lived in such a great city. One day, after my business in Hong Kong is concluded, I would like to travel there myself, and visit its Renraku arcology. I have heard many impressive things about the Sire. The automated systems that it employs are rumored to be quite impressive. I should like to study them someday. You said that you used to work for a corps. Whose payroll were you on? He sighs. That is something of a sore subject. My departure was involuntary, you see. I did not part with ways with my employer under the best of terms. I will tell you that I worked for Grishin Aviacorps, but forgive me if I don't want to go into detail. Keeping all this machinery running can't be cheap. How do you afford it? Freelance. At the risk of sounding immodest, I've commodified myself rather well. There are always corporations in need of design consultations. You'd be surprised by how lucrative such work can be. And there's always other work that I can turn to in a pinch. You said you did other work besides consulting. Care to tell me what kind? He pauses, and for a second something flashes in his eyes. Koshe lowers its body into a crouch. A rather personal question, wouldn't you say? Maybe, but then we're having a personal conversation. Indeed we are, but even in personal conversations, certain topics can be held off limits. Truth be told, I don't feel especially comfortable discussing my side work with relative strangers. Suffice it to say that my freelance activities often fall on the illicit end of the spectrum. Tell you what, I'm just going to guess. You're a Shadowrunner, aren't you? He gives you a shallow nod. I dislike the term, but yes, I run the shadows. What gave me away? Yeah, probably this one. Design consultants live in apartments in Victoria Harbor. You're living in a rusted-out boat in Heoi. There's gotta be a reason for that. He shrugs. You are correct, of course. The residents of shadow communities are usually either too poor to live elsewhere, or engage in behaviors too illicit to risk it. I will admit to being in the latter camp. Designing robotics is my passion, but it doesn't always pay the bills. He runs a hand over Koshe's armored chassis, caressing the sculpted metal with his fingertips. My status as a foreigner has proven something of an impediment in this regard. And so, sorry as I may be to say it, the lion's share of my income flows from Koshe's aptitude for butchery. Such is life, I suppose. We do what we must to do what we love. Seems like everybody on this boat runs the shadows. Why not pool our resources and work together? He purses his lips, considering. A compelling offer. I'm doing quite well on my own, but I must admit that there are certain jobs for which I am unsuited. Magic eludes me, and I'm not a decker. My strength comes from material objects in the real world. Solid things with mass and heft. Things that I can build and operate. Sadly, a great many clients are only interested in teams that display a mastery over the intangible. This group of yours, do you have people who can cover those bases? If so, then perhaps we can help each other out. How can you not already know that? You live right beneath our feet. Have you ever rented a coffin apartment in a big city? Did you know all of your neighbors by name? My situation here is much the same. I keep to myself, and your friends don't come down to the engine room. The only real connection we share is that we all live in this wreck by kindly Cheng's largesse. Obviously, there were things that I could intuit about your friends from my time here. I'd guess that they were Shadowrunners. Their behavior fits the profile. But we haven't had any real contact with one another until now. So I ask again, does your team make up cover the bases I described? Yep. We've also got... Or actually... I don't know whether or not they're competent at their jobs. Not yet, anyway. Yep. We've also got a former security expert. I guess that's the best way to describe Duncan. In that case, I will accept your offer on a provisional basis. We'll do a few runs together and see how we get on. If our association bears fruit, it will continue. If not, I will bid you my farewell and go back to working alone. How does that sound? Welcome aboard. Very good, excellent. When you receive a job, you know where to find me. My skills and resources are at your disposal. And with that, I'm afraid I must bid you good day. I still have work to do down here. This leg assembly won't clean itself. I'll be in touch, looking forward to working with you. And I with you. Sweet, we got a new person. Oh, and we can level him up immediately. So, Ractor gets Biotech +1 and Dodge +1. So I can get... Ractor's drone Koshei gains +1 movement speed, moving 7 tiles per 1 action point, or Raptor's drone Koshei gains a +5 accuracy boost for all attacks. I'd rather move faster, honestly, because moving allows you to reposition to get better shots. So I'd rather just have that. I will confirm. Okay. And let me open this door because I'm nosy and there might be loot behind it. Nope. Just a really dirty bedroom. He and Isabel should talk. I feel like they'd have a lot in common. Alright. So actually, yeah, it seems like this episode is pretty much running to time. So what I'm going to do is end it here, and on the next episode, we'll do our first Shadowrunning mission. So, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and leave a comment. I'd greatly appreciate it if you did, and I will see you next time.